Okay, I'm going to show you a little bit about how to get set up to operate HF digital modes. First, I'm going to be using Ham Radio Deluxe, and they have a software package that's part of Ham Radio Deluxe called Digital Master 780. And so if you're opening up um, your rig control for HRD, right up here, you'll see DM780. If you click on that, and you can even do it from your logging um, software here on HRD. So you click on Digital Master, and it's going to open up the Digital Master 780. And so what it gives you is most of the digital modes. So just about everything that FL Digi can do, you can do on Digital Master. And what you can't do is FT8 and FT4 and JS8 call. Those are not part of this digital package. So what I do is I'm running on Ham Radio Deluxe. My primary HF radio is a Yaesu FT DX10, and so at the time when I set up Ham Radio Deluxe, the DX10 was not an optional. Well, it's not an option under the radios, so I had to use the FTDX 101 radio choice. And so over on the left side here, you'll see under the radio tab, this shows some of the settings that some of the options for this section of panel that you can set up, and you can actually, if you go up here, there's this little hand that looks like it's writing on a piece of paper, and that's configure. And if you click on that, it'll actually let you change what these buttons will do, what these virtual buttons will do. And so you can click on one of these and you can select whatever you'd like for them. But what I found is one of the things that you have to have over here in this window for, at least for, I don't know, it might be for all radios, but for the Yaesu, especially the FTDX10, is you need to one of the buttons that you need to have here is the TX button. Right there, it says TX. If you remove that, the radio will not, you cannot put the radio into transmit using Digital Master 780. So I don't know why, but that's the way it is. And so selecting any one of these, setting up any one of these buttons here will end up placing it over here in this area here. And one of them is TX. So you can select whatever, but one of them needs to be this TX. But on to save down here. Okay, the TX button's there. That part's good to go. You also want to make sure your sound card is showing. So under options, this may be the way for it works for many radios, but particularly for Yaesu, it uses a USB audio codec. So it's the USB cable that's connected from the radio to the PC. And so for the input and output, it's using a USB audio codec. That's good to go. Now, okay, you can see right now I'm set up. I'm using the mode Olivia 8/250. And so to change what mode you're operating with digital mode, you go over here to that tab, you click on it, and there are the different types of modes, and then you can select the specifics for whatever. RTTY, there are different types of RTTY. There's audio frequency shift keying, frequency shift keying. There's some typical ones that you're going to see a lot, and then there's some that you'll rarely see. Feldhell is a fun one. It's kind of a visual mode a little bit. But anyway, the primary ones that you're going to see, aside from CW, obviously, you're going to see RTTY, which is typically going to be RTTY on Digital Master 780. It'll be RTTY 45 under the AFSK. PSK 31, so BPSK 31, you're going to see, sometimes you'll see Contestia 8250. I have not seen Domino. Feldhell occasionally. MFSK, you'll see once in a while. 32 is typically, or 16 even. And Olivia. there's been a fair amount of Olivia traffic lately. I've even seen some Thor traffic here. Thor, I think it was Thor 16 I saw. And so you'll select what you want, what mode you want to operate. So for this one, we're going to operate PSK 31. And so what you're going to notice is down here, you see this little yellow slider here, kind of. This is your audio bandpass. This is what your PC is hearing coming from the radio. And you see on the waterfall, you see these different signals. And these are actually PSK 31. And see how the width kind of lines up? That's about as wide as these two lines here. That's because the mode you selected, PSK 31, is about that wide of a mode. It's operating about that many hertz wide. And so if you select on there, you'll see it start to decode. See, KC3FL. And what you do is there could be any number of stations in your bandpass here, but you're only going to be decoding whatever one that you've clicked on, that you're telling the PC that you want to decode, that you want it to be listening to. So click on there. I don't know how well you can see this. It's decoding right up here. So what it's going to do is that everything that that's going over HF here, you're going to see up in this upper box up here. Okay. You can see he's typing pretty quick too. All right. So up here, this slider here, it's showing it's your squelch. So if you have your squelch turned way up over here, it's not really going to decode unless the signal level gets above that squelch slider that you've set. So there could be any number of stations down here, and you could be clicking on them, and your PC is not going to decode anything unless that audio level, the signal level, gets above your squelch slider. So the benefit of having a squelch slider is that if you've got a pretty good noise level, pretty high noise level, you'll want to put it the squelch a little bit above that noise level. That way you're not getting just a bunch of junk on the decode. See, if I set it below that little blue audio level, that noise level, it's trying to decode noise. It'll do the best it can, but it's decoding just gibberish. But if you set that slider, the squelch slider, a little bit above just the background noise on that frequency, it won't really be decoding anything. It'll be waiting to hear a signal louder than that squelch point that you've set. All right, so we'll go click on the station here. You can see he's definitely louder than our squelch slider. So it's decoding him, and it's not decoding all the junk. All right, so let's go to an open frequency here. And so wherever you've clicked here, not only is it going to decode or attempt to decode whatever's there, that's also where you're going to be transmitting. As long as you're not running some type of split, you'll be transmitting from there too. So if I wanted to talk to this station over here, I'd click over here. They're decoding when he's done transmitting. If he was calling CQ or I was already talking to him, I would be transmitting on that same frequency also after him. All right, so we'll go up here. Now, anything you want to send, anything you want to transmit, you're going to type in this lower box here. So you're going to put your cursor down here, and you're going to start typing. So I'm going to type test, test, test. And so now you have two ways to send this, and maybe there's more, but two ways to send. You can click send up here, and it's going to send anything that you've typed down here. But what it's also going to do is it's going to be waiting. I'll show you what that's all about in a second. It's going to be waiting for a certain signal for a certain set of characters. I think it's an up arrow and a lowercase r that you're going to type at the end of what you want to send, so it knows that you're finished typing. So it knows to unkey the radio. Or instead of clicking send and having to add those couple characters at the end of what you're typing. If you click auto send, if you click auto, which is auto send, what it's going to do is it's going to start sending, and you'll see it'll start going through these letters, and when it gets to the end, if there's nothing else to send, after a second or so, it'll actually unkey the radio on its own. So let me make sure I'm not running 100 watts here. Since we're testing, we're going to go down pretty low. Okay, I'm going to click auto. And it's actually sending. In a second, you'll see it start lining through. That's what it's sending. And then it gets to the end where there's nothing left to send, and it takes it out of transmit. You might have seen some characters on the waterfall where I'm transmitting some. Well, there's an option up here called video ID, where you can actually, if you turn this on, it will send a video ID literally at the beginning of your transmission. And so what it's going to do is it's going to send. I have it set up to send a video ID of what mode I'm operating on. So it would send BPSK31. So I'll show you one more time. And that it'll send, you'll see in the waterfall, hopefully you can see this enough. I'll try to, let me see if I can make this waterfall a little bit bigger. And it won't let me. Okay. Auto send. Now watch that. It sends it as a whole set. So you'll see BPSK31. So it sends that first. You have that option. If you set that up as an option, it sends that out. So anyone that's in this, that's listening in this section of band, they can see what mode that you're transmitting on. And the reason why that might be helpful is because you may see 3 or 4 different modes being transmitted, different QSOs happening in a section of band, and you may not recognize 1 or 2 of those modes. And it helps with you being able to figure out which mode to select up here, so you can decode the station. And so you don't have to use just video ID. There's another option. If you select, if you turn on RSID, which is, I believe it's called Reed Solomon ID. So what it'll do is it'll actually send it out, instead of a video ID, it'll actually send out the information of the frequency and the mode that you're transmitting. So other stations that are anywhere in this audio passband that are listening, regardless of what mode they're on, if they have their RSID enabled, they will hear that transmission at that section at the beginning of your transmission that says, "Hey, I'm on this frequency with at this mode." So it's similar to video ID, but it actually sends it out, and it'll show up on everyone's decode section, whether it be on Digital Master 780, on Ham Radio Deluxe, or if it's on FL Digi. And so when that does pop up, the RSID, it'll pop up in a blue, almost like a web link. And if you click on it, it'll actually jump. It can actually jump your receive section, your where you're receiving, over to where that station was transmitting. And it and I believe even on Ham Radio Deluxe, but I know on FL Digi it can actually switch your mode for you. So if you click on, if they're on MFSK32, and you click on that that blue tab for the RSID, it'll actually move you over, and it will change your mode to MFSK32. So it's pretty neat. The video ID I just turned on yesterday. I've been kind of playing with that, and I don't know, it's kind of interesting. Okay, so one of the benefits, aside from not needing to type in those special characters at the end of what you're sending, one of another benefit of this auto send is that you can keep typing as it's sending. So if I'm typing, I can keep typing as it's sending. And as long as I'm ahead of it, it'll just stay in transmit and you can actually see characters going through as you're typing. And then when it reaches nothing, it unkeys the radio. And so there you have it. Down here, there's also a box where you can click on, do you want to call CQ? And it gives you the option, do you want to call it 2 sets of CQs? Do you want to do 3? Do you want to send QRZ? There's reply. These are macros, so you can change these up in your settings, in your configure settings. You can even possibly send a picture, which I haven't messed with yet. And yeah, so these macros just kind of help if you're making a bunch of contacts, or just help you at the beginning or end of a contact to kind of streamline a few things. So let's see, you can also add the person in your log from here, so you don't have to jump over to the log section of Ham Radio Deluxe. I think that's all I want to show you on the Digital Master 780. If you don't have this waterfall view on, you can go up to view up here and you can actually turn it on. See, so if you have something like that instead, or any number of things down there, you should be able to go up to view, the view tab, go under waterfall and turn that on. That's really going to help you. In my opinion, that's a huge help. All right, so I'm going to get set up with FL Digi and then show you how I set that up. Okay, hopefully you can see this all right. So we're in FL Digi now. This is version 4.2.03. And I'm using HamLib software that's, I believe it's included in FL Digi to communicate with the FTDX10. So I will show you, if you go to the Configure tab and then to Config Dialog, some of the other versions of FL Digi may have this set up differently. Here's rate control, HamLib. These are the settings that work for me for FL Digi and Yaesu FTDX10. Now, under device, your COM device is going to be different. It's going to be whatever COM port that the PC has decided to use for your radio when it's connected. And that's kind of beyond the scope of what we're talking about here. But so anyway, this is how I've set this up. Sound cards. Over here, click on devices. And again, it's for capture and playback. So for receive and transmit, it's still USB audio codec for both under port audio. All right, so now this is going to be just about the same. I think I want to have this in data mode. So let's see, let's scroll around here, see if we can find a station. See, I don't know what this is. Up here, while we're trying to find a station, oh, there we go. There's PSK31. All right, so now your squelch slider on FL Digi's over here. See that green bar, and you see how it's decoding. Operator Angelo. So your little slider's way over here. Okay. And just keep it above the noise, but below the signal that you're trying to decode. And then up here is the RxID, TXID. And so if you turn RxID on, then you will it will be listening for other stations that are transmitting their TXID, so the Reed Solomon ID. So it will tell you when there are other stations that have that are transmitting their ID at the beginning of their message, and it'll tell you where they are and what mode they're on, and if you have that enabled. And if you would like your transmissions, the beginning of your transmissions, to send that message for anyone else that's on this section of the HF band, then you would turn on your TXID. Now you might think, okay, we'll just leave those on all the time. But the problem with that is if you leave it on all the TXID on all the time, it becomes kind of a hassle, a little bit of a nuisance if you're checking into like a digital net. or just having a QSO with someone. You know, if you're having a reg chew, and every time you transmit, you're transmitting your TXID. You know, it's kind of a wasting a little bit of time for everybody. And so sometimes you may not want that on. I don't turn mine on typically unless there's a lot of activity and I'm trying to make a contact with someone, anyone. Calling CQ, then I'll probably turn it on. Okay, so down here, you know, like similar to Digital Master 780, up here is what you're decoding, what others are sending in this section of band. And then down here, this box, this blue box, is where you would type what you're going to send. So I'm going to send testing, and this is set up to where it'll send my call sign at the end of every block of transmission. So if I just type testing, and then I'll go over to the far right TX button is going to do similar to what auto TX does on Digital Master 780. So it's going to start sending, and it's going to keep sending until it reaches where there's nothing left. And you can actually, and FL Digi will actually put those couple characters in for you at the end. See, it's a up arrow, if you can see that, and an R, which doesn't send, but it does tell the software when to stop transmitting. See, and then it puts it up there so you can read what you have sent also. And if I were to do TXID first, if I were to enable transmit RSID, read Solemn ID, then it would actually transmit that the little batch of information first to anyone else listening on this section of band. I think that's about it. The modes you would change up here under op mode, and all the same modes as the DM780, and there are a few extra ones like weather facts, frequency analysis, WWV, stuff like that. So, all right, I hope this helps somewhat.